as of now.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Tanse, Atlanta, elders, members of Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, Mikisew Cree First Nation, Fort Chipewyan Métis Nation members, and supporting family members. Welcome to everyone here in person and those joining us online today. My name is Mike Scott. I'm a member of Sturgeon Lake First Nation, Saskatchewan in the Treaty 6 territory. I grew up in and out of foster care for the first 10 years of my life, and I was placed in over 30 foster homes as a child, so I somewhat understand how it feels to be displaced and not have a home to call my own. I grew up with addictions, a very dysfunctional family setting. And by the age of 12, I was incarcerated for nearly 2 years of my life. When I left prison as a child, I ended up on the streets, and I was homeless numerous times throughout those younger years of my life. And I fell into drugs and alcohol to cope with those issues that I was facing. When I lost my mom when I was 21, I fell really hard into alcoholism, and I nearly got cirrhosis of the liver. So I'm proud to say that this coming August, I've been 12 years clean and sober from drugs and alcohol, and I now travel the country as a motivational health and wellness speaker, and I offer and provide workshops and presentations for communities to help end those cycles. I was asked to come here today to speak and to help facilitate and guide the conversations, the questions, and help direct and connect everybody here that is at the table with us today, with the leaders, the members, and the emergency services. We are gathered today on the traditional land of the Cree, Dene, and Métis people on Treaty 8 territory, your territory. We're here at the Syncrude Sport and Wellness Centre in Fort McMurray, and I want to give a big thank you to the team at the Keanu College for working closely with us to create space for all of today's town hall and gathering of all community members. I would like to now invite Elder Marina Stewart to give a prayer in Cree.
It's a little short. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to do my prayer in my own language, and I'm going to ask the Creator, protect our community and Fort Chip so we could go back to our homes. And also, I'm going to ask the Creator to give us the strength and the minds so we don't struggle out here, to work together, to be happy, help each other. When I'm out here, I like talking to the people, being happy. I know it's kind of sad out in our community, but sometimes the nature takes its place too. So I look at that too. So I'd like to thank the Creator today, standing up here to do my prayer in my own language. How mamuktawi maoksemantu, kia maga, kitamaga na unan, umuta kama piyak anuskisagaw. Kian ma, ete page again, ekutes mi. Kia kaganawa miyak, dahtugisagaw. Tan semina itu tamah kumutagawski. Kia maga, kitamaga na unan, oma daskinan kagistek. Kia maga katepe tamanoma agawaski. Mista hinanas kumwan nista anuski sigaw. Epaksitan nista tatagi sigaw. Emaumuschigayan endo tamatan kake mamuktawi mo. Kitamagi taon. Kitamagi naunan anuski sigaw. Umuta kaganaw apmiya. Kian ma katipeitsigain umuta kagawaski. Kiyaw takakyagigoy igipakti naman. Kia magak skaten tansmina wisbike. Kia isog mau mamuktawi mau. Kia kakenigan yapin umuta agawaski igipagit niya. Kia maga kitamagin naunan anuski sigaw umuta mina piks ko unutse. Kawi piks ko tahkoma kagiside daskinan me gods. Kia maga kawi pakte naman. Kispen mina kia kuyasta wehen egon ma ekte skoteo maga kiek de peitsigan. Muinyanan de peitsiganan umutagawaski. Muinyanan mina gaginagan egon ma skoteo. Kispen mina wikisteo maga kia epaksita mamuktawi mau. Kia ugi mau. Kinanaskum din anuski sigaw. Stahimi nagsagitin day hukche. Kia ksiwatsin kake naskum din. Hay hay.
Thank you, Elder Marina Stewart. I would like to now invite Elder Jeanette Flett Jones to give the prayer in Dene.
Masi Marina, that was beautiful. At Larut or you salutina chu, sitseni, gaitela uti, Marcina sten, duhunja, nahel, niultina, tsen yastiha. I'm so honored to be invited here today to say a prayer in my first language, Dennis Utlina, with all of the people here from my hometown, Gaitela. My prayers are for you all. You will all soon return home when it is safe. I know how difficult it can be to be displaced, but the people of Kitlin Kwe welcome you all and are working hard to help each become comfortable during your stay. Be patient and enjoy this little holiday. No cooking, no cleaning. That's the best part of it. Good chansla, doril keha. We ask for more rain. Neil Sinne. Duhun Neil Sinne, our creator, whose voice I hear in the winds and whose breath gives us life to the world, hear me. I ask for your strength and wisdom for all the people from Gaitela. Neil Sinne Duhun Diri Nurse Kessi, Urluja Dena Nade Kwaunsi, Atnedu Dena Tekwiu, Urlu Sakwazu, Bitsenani, Urlu Kwan Chaza Sadalu. Ogetla Utsen Baba Horolyaha, Dabiniahau, Urlu Bedzia Natsurhau, Da Ayalehau, Ku Thilawud, Nequensen Nindaha, Burrs Kessi, Hotia Quintunide, Marci Nenesten, Hi Marci Cho, Tha Honaha, Losa, Marci.
Thank you for the prayer, Elder Jeanette Flett Jones. Today we are joined by Chief Alan Adam, Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, Mixu Cree First Nation Councillor Sherry McKenzie and Lori Brabant, MCFN Health Director, Vice President Judy Ann Cardinal and Director Marina Stewart of Fort Chipewyan Métis Nation, Mayor Sandy Bowman, Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, Jody Butts, Regional Fire Chief and Director of Emergency Management from the RMWB. Before we will begin, I would like to explain how the format of this town hall will work. We will have formal presentations from the leadership here at the table, followed by a question and answer session where you will all be able to ask questions about the presentation or about concerns you may have. I know that this can be a very stressful time, but I ask that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation, as the answers may come up during the presentation. When the presentation is done, you can line up at either one of these mics, and we ask that you use the microphone to ask these questions so that community members here and the people that are watching online can both hear the questions and the answers. So now I would like to invite Chief Alan Adam of the Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation to come up and speak.
Well, good afternoon, all. I just want to say thank you for the prayer for the elders, giving us comfort in regards to making sure that we're all safe. One of the key themes in regards to the message is safety, unity, cooperation, and taking care of yourself and each other. Thank you for coming together today. Since the evacuation order on May 30th, 1,000 residents have been safely evacuated. Although Fort Chipewyan has never been evacuated before, it truly took a community effort to get everyone to Fort McMurray safely. All of our members traveling by boat successfully made it to Fort McKay. We were able to get the Canadian government to bring the Hercules aircraft to support the evacuation. Fort McMurray Aviation, WestJet, Northwestern Air, and a few other airlines also supported the efforts of the evacuation in Fort Chip. It was tough to get everybody relocated, and it was even tougher to reconnect people with their luggage and pets. That was a struggle, but it was necessary effort to ensure the safety of our community members came first. I just want to thank the Canadian Armed Forces for the support that they gave our community. And you all heard that they left 2 days ago for Edson, and are continuing their efforts in Edson right now with their evacuation support. We have been supported by so many organizations and people, making sure our community members have what they need while in Fort McMurray. We just need to be more courteous of the fact that we're only here for a short period of time, and that we have to respect that Fort McMurray is not our community, and we have to be respectable as visitors. There are over 230 people in our community protecting it, and they will be supported by essential staff and dedicated workers and volunteers. 8 members have been recertified to the Wildlife Firefighters Program. We are a strong community of Indigenous people, First Nations, and Métis together. We have faced wildfires before as a community, and we'll continue to work together to fight this one. Whatever it takes to keep the fire at bay. Staying connected and checking in on each other is what it makes us as a community. And I'm Chief Alan Adam, and I'll leave the next message to Mayor Sandy.
Thank you, Chief Adam. It is really impressive to know how much work and effort has been put into keeping members safe. I would like to now invite Vice President of the Fort Chipewyan Nation, Judy Ann Cardinal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chief Adam said the key themes, so I'd like to thank our MC, Sandy, Jody, for attending this meeting today. My name is Julianne Cardinal. I'm Vice President of Fort Chipewyan Métis. The leadership would like to acknowledge and say thank you to the people of Fort Chipewyan for persevering and through this difficult time, and we are here to support them. Through working together, we have created support systems at all hotels, mental health, cultural, shuttle systems. If you're feeling overwhelmed or need help, reach out. There's people there to help you. We also ask that while you're in Fort McMurray, utilize your time. Go see your loved ones, your doctors, your specialists. Take the time to take care of yourself. The time has not yet to go home yet. But when we do, Fort Chipewyan will look different when you come home and maybe overwhelming. Given the current situation, our three nations have decided that we must take more dramatic but necessary measures to protect our home from the fire and into the future, expanding fire breaks, more extensive vegetation management and tree thinning, sprinkler systems, which have been in place in Allison Bay and around cabins, and infrastructure. Myself and other leaders would like to take the time to thank the teams on the ground doing the hard work and committing to protect Fort Chipewyan. Our three nations are also working together to rebuild the wildfire response program that was defunded by the province. We know some of the protection measures seem extreme and are upsetting to see, but we are doing what we can to fight the fire and keep our community safe. We are a community of families, mothers, fathers, aunts and uncles, grandchildren, grandparents, and elders. Together, we will take the time needed to heal and letting our land heal as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Cardinal, for this important update and information. Please now welcome Jody Butts, Regional Fire Chief and Director of Emergency Management, to give us an update on the strategies in place to protect Fort Chipewyan.
Thanks. Yes, my name's Jody Butts, the Regional Fire Chief and Director of Emergency Management. And first of all, I want to say thank you to the elders for their prayers. I'd also like to thank the town hall organizers here today. Incredible job. The Fort Chipewyan community leadership here. Thank you. Everyone here and listening online and taking part in what is a very important event to share information. As we all know, on May 30th, the entire community of Fort Chipewyan was evacuated due to a wildfire. Approximately 1,000 community members have safely left and are staying in Fort McMurray and surrounding areas. I'm incredibly impressed with the community and many organizations for coming together to make this happen, and the ongoing efforts to support and protect the Fort Chipewyan community. While this is the first time Fort Chipewyan has been evacuated due to a wildfire, it is also the most prepared and protected community it has ever been for a nearby wildfire. This is a direct result of the ongoing collaboration with the leaders, the Dems, the members of the Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, Mikisew Cree First Nation, and the Fort Chipewyan Métis, as well as the Alberta wildfire, to ensure a joint response to this very important emergency. It's been a massive effort, and I want to acknowledge and thank the fire departments from across this province for their willingness to help us by sending both people and equipment to Fort Chipewyan. Places like Cypress County, Hinton Fire and Rescue, Cremona and District Emergency Services, Strathmore Fire Department, Clearwater County Regional Fire Rescue Services, Pincher Creek Emergency Services, County of 40 Mile Fire and Rescue, Sundre Fire and Rescue, and No Surrender Fire Services. And not to forget, and most importantly, closer to home, your own members from Fort Chipewyan Fire Department, as well as members from the municipality in Sapri Creek, Fort McMurray, and Anzac Fire Departments are all assisting up there in the community. If we can have the map. There we are. Thank you. As Vice President Cardinal mentioned, a tremendous amount of work has been done to protect Fort Chipewyan and surrounding area by the teams on the ground, which include many community members that have stepped up and are helping with these efforts. I'll provide more detailed breakdown of what these protection measures entail and where they're located. As you can see on the map on the screen above, fire breaks are also known as fire guards, cat guards, or dozer guards are highlighted in red on the map. They are created by removing all the trees and vegetation in the area with a bulldozer or other heavy equipment. There are completed fire breaks, as the map would show, in Allison Bay, Dory Lake Road, Fort Chipewyan, and Doghead. The work is to expand the fire break in the hamlet behind the school and surrounding areas began this morning and will be completed very soon. I also want to recognize the fire smart vegetation management work the teams on the ground are doing in the area. To everyone who held a chainsaw, swung an axe, and carried a chopped that wood out of that area, I want you to know that your efforts and commitment to protect Fort Chipewyan have never and will not ever go unnoticed. The orange section on the map are completed fire smart vegetation projects that were done a few years ago, dating back to 2019. And for those that live in the community, you would have seen that work happen. This work has helped and protect the community from such an event as we're seeing here today. The other fire smart work happening is in town, with teams cutting grass, cleaning up debris, and removing flammable materials away from personal homes. This may sound like a small task, but it is that work that is very significant impact in protecting homes and buildings from embers and fire spread in the event of wildfire moves closer to the community. The other layer of protection is sprinklers and structural protection systems. That's what those men and women from across Alberta have been doing. They are highlighted in green and are installed around critical infrastructure and homes and buildings to protect that community. It's another layer of protection. Crews are continuously monitoring these sprinkler systems and checking these systems to ensure they are ready and ready to go if needed. And of course, we also have our local fire department on standby with support from other agencies, from around 20 other community members who completed the RAS volunteer firefighter training. All of this is in addition to the direct work led by our Alberta wildfire partners to establish a containment line and manage the wildfire. Alberta Wildfire wanted to be here today, but all staff and personnel extremely busy on the ground in Fort Chipewyan, and we're glad that they're still there. And across the province, responding to other wildfire situations. So they've recorded a wildfire update for us here today, and it was recorded this morning. And so I'd like to share that with you now.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Smith and I'm a Wildfire Information Officer reporting today from Fort Chipewyan. First off, I'd like to apologize for not being able to be there with all of you. My priority is to be on this wildfire in Fort Chipewyan because that's where I'm needed most. For the wildfire update, MWF 025 was discovered on May 28th and is currently 60,568 hectares in size. It is classified as burning out of control and was caused by lightning. Currently, we have 227 personnel working on this wildfire, and this includes firefighters, structure protection crews, heavy equipment operators, and the incident management team. There has continued to be no fire growth along the south flank. For weather, today we expect a high of 21 degrees Celsius with 50% relative humidity. Winds coming from the northeast at 10 kilometers an hour, increasing in the afternoon to 15 to 20 kilometers an hour, and gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. 90% chance of precipitation, and it is estimated to be about 10 to 20 millimeters. Tomorrow, we expect a high of 12 degrees Celsius with 90% relative humidity. Winds are expected to come from the northeast at 20 kilometers an hour, gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. Then the wind is expected to shift and come from the northwest at 20 kilometers an hour, gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour in the late afternoon. We also expect 20 to 30 millimeters of precipitation. This forecasted weather will assist in keeping fire behavior low. Over the next few days, however, there is still a likelihood of smoke being visible in the air. For this fire, containment on the south flank would mean the fire staying within our established boundary. Usually that distance will be about 10 meters into the fire. With that said, I am happy to report that as of this morning, in regard to the south containment line, which has been our focus from the start, is now 100% contained. This is very good news, but doesn't mean the work is over. Our goal is to have the south flank controlled, and we do that by extinguishing the flank for up to 100 meters into the wildfire until the line is expected to hold. We have made very good progress so far, and we are not letting up until we are confident that it is no longer a threat to the community. I want to thank you all for your patience and understanding during this stressful time. I know it's not easy being away from home, and I hope you are all finding the time to enjoy your stay in Fort McMurray. Thank you so much, and stay safe.
Thank you, Emily. As you can tell, we become good, or we listen to the weather very closely as we're watching this fire and learning and what it does, and it tells us where it might go, and that helps us understand it. You heard Emily say that the focus and effort has been on that southern flank of that fire, right all the way from Devil's Gate, all the way north of Allison Bay, touching Lake Athabasca, and as well as the cabins out on the land. She made a really good point there today, and it's important that we just pause for a moment and understand what that comment was, 100% containment. That's a very significant milestone in the effort of this fire so that you can get back home. But there's a difference between containment and control. Containment is the whole distance, that distance from Devil's Gate all the way to Lake Athabasca is about 26 kilometers long. If you were to walk that, fire's at the edge of the burnt area, about 26 kilometers long. Containment is 10 meters inside of that, what we call the black, and it's nice and cold. So that would be from here, say, to the bleachers or the seats. That was what the message was today, that during that full length of 26 kilometers, there is 100% containment. They walk that whole distance and have containment. But now we have to take another step, and it's to transition that into control. And they will start that. They've started that already. Control is more deeper into the burnt area. Again, the full distance, 26 kilometers, right from Devil's Gate to Lake Athabasca. And the goal there is 100 meters in. So that would be 4 lengths of this gymnasium. 4 lengths inside the burnt area, touching, turning. It's hard work. But that's the task at hand, and that's what they're committed to do. So I wanted to just pause and take a moment to explain what the difference between 100% containment, but now we have to do control. I know many of you wish to be home, and I understand that. At this time, unfortunately, we can't give an exact date or even an estimate on when that will be safe to return. We continue to work with the Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, Mikisew Cree First Nation, and the Fort Chipewyan Métis Nation on the planning, that re-entry planning. Once it's safe, it'll take a few days to get everybody home. Air transportation will be coordinated in phases by hotel. To help you, information booths will also be available at each one of the hotels. When it is time to leave, buses will take you from the hotels to the airport. Transportation from the Fort Chipewyan Airport will also be provided if you require it. People traveling by air will be allowed to bring up to 50 pounds of personal luggage with them on the plane, plus a small carry-on. An extra 100 pounds of additional cargo will also be permitted or allowed for each evacuee on later flights. boxes will be available to help you with that packing. We're planning carefully to return pets to their homes. More information about the pets will be provided closer to re-entry once the dates and air carriers have been confirmed. I want to take an opportunity to recognize and thank the incredible emergency social services staff that you've all met. ATC and all of the local organizations for coming together to support Fort Chipewyan community members who have left their home. The daily shuttle service is available to take people from their hotels to many events and activities happening each day, including Together on the Sny, which is a gathering place for Fort Chipewyan community members to come together, to be close to the water and visit with friends and relatives. It'll continue to be open for as long as need be, open daily from 9:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. and up until it's safe for residents to return home. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is served every day, and there's always a lot of activities and fun and events are planned. I want to encourage you to check the schedule at your hotel or on the rmwb.ca/fortchip. I hope to all see you again at the SNI in the coming days. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Jody Butts. Very valuable information for all of us, and we appreciate you being with us today. I would like to now introduce Councillor Sherry McKenzie of MCFN.
Good afternoon. I'm Councillor McKenzie. Chief Tuckero and my co-counsel offer their regrets that they could not attend the town hall this afternoon. Leadership had in-person meetings on Sunday and yesterday for members, staff, volunteers, and are now back in Fort working at the Incident Command Center alongside volunteers, firefighters, and provincial counterparts. With that, I would like to pass it over to the Health Director, Lori Brabant.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be here today with Councillor McKenzie. Everyone as a community has done a lot to support each other over the last few weeks. As Chief Adam mentioned, and Fire Chief Jody Butts, those heroes still in the community fighting to protect it, we thank you. I would also like to acknowledge those here in the city doing their part, like our volunteers and our youth, like 16-year-old Avery Fraser, who helped assisting evacuees until the very last dog was safely transported the night of the evacuation. We also had 30 people, including leadership, receive naloxone training to save lives and keep our community safe while in the city, and the incredible staff that put in many hours to serve and support you. I am overwhelmed and humbled to see the community come together. We would also like to thank our neighbors, Fort McMurray First Nation. They helped guide our boaters in, lending us a safe place to stay, and for their hospitality with our Chipewyan elders in their elders' home in Fort McMurray. As we have just heard, it may be some time before we can return to our homes, and I acknowledge that the unknowing is stressful. We want to ensure all community members that we will continue supporting your stay in Fort McMurray. But we also need you to take care of yourself and find balance. Check in with the mental health resources and the many health supports, such as the extra help brought in by Noonie Health. There is strength in knowing when to ask for help, and there is healing in asking. We understand that there is no place like home, but we are hopeful that you can find a piece of home here while in Fort McMurray with a visit with friends and family, or maybe a cup of tea at the SNI. There are many things to do while in the city, planned activities, crafts, and traditional games, which we are hopeful that you can get out and help participate in. There's activities occurring at the hotels, and transportation services are provided. Daily schedules are posted on websites and Facebooks and in hotels. The Fort McMurray Treaty Days are also taking place June 15th, 16th, and 17th, which I'm sure will welcome your attendance. This is a traumatic time for everyone. Let's take care of ourselves, take care of each other. Fort McMurrayans have been there and know the anxiety and fear that is being felt. Thank you.
Thank you, Health Director Brabant and Councillor McKenzie. I would like to now invite Sandy Bowman, Mayor of the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, to the podium.
Thank you, Mike. Tanse, Iglante, and good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to thank everyone that came together to make this town hall possible today. Bring the community together is something we're pleased to do as a council and municipality in partnership with the Fort Chipewyan community leadership. And today is about you, your community, and what we're doing together to protect Fort Chipewyan and to support you and your families. I know the last 2 weeks have been difficult, emotional, and stressful. And I know it's hard to be away from home, not knowing the next day brings or when you get to go back. Now, I know the two situations are very different, but I know a lot of us in this community know how you feel from 2016. And every day I'm inspired by your resolve, strength, compassion, and love for each other. As we work collectively with Fort Chipewyan leadership and the community, with Alberta Wildfire and many others, I want you to know that everyone involved is committed to protecting your community and getting you home as soon as it is safe to do so. As this work continues this week, my biggest thank you goes out to the incredible emergency responders, staff, volunteers, people, and community organizations that have stepped up to protect and support Fort Chipewyan. We have seen this spirit in both the response to the wildfire and in welcoming neighbors and fellow community members with open arms and huge hearts. With you and all of Fort Chipewyan in mind, I want to finish with just a personal thought. I recognize in all we do that this situation has been very challenging. Understandably, it's been difficult and emotional and will continue to be. So we must always seek to learn and to do better in all that we do here for each other. But through this, we've all seen the very best in people, in Fort Chipewyan community, Fort McMurray, in Fort McKay, and everywhere in the region. The people of Fort Chipewyan and those supporting them are showing us what this region is all about. So thank you again for being here today and for giving me the opportunity to be part of this town hall. Together we'll be here for you, and together we will get you home when it's safe. Marcy Cho, Kimas Kumpton, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. So today, basically, everybody is gathered here today so that you guys can receive information and also ask questions and concerns. I'd like to invite anybody that is online watching today's presentation that you guys ask your questions now so that we can answer them in person. I'd like to also just give a big thanks to all of the leadership. Everybody that's up here at this table, can we give them a big round of applause for all their hard work that they've been doing for your communities? There's a lot of unseen things that happen that people don't really understand about, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into preventing and helping everybody be safe during this time. So this concludes the presentation portion of the town hall, but we also want to hear from everybody that is here today. So please come up to one of the two microphones. If you form a line, you will be able to now ask any questions or concerns that you have. For anybody that is not able to come and stand up there, we can bring a microphone to you. So just for a show of hands, if there's anybody that isn't able to come walk down to the microphone that has a question, we will get somebody to bring a microphone to you. Anybody who has a question, now is your time.
Hi, thank you. Is this on?
Just wait. Okay, we're good to go.
Okay, hi. Lori Cyprian. I grew up in Fort Chipewyan, so it's very near and dear to my heart. So I do have, thank you for your presentations. I do have a few questions that I've written down after listening to you. First one is, we hear that it's 100% contained. So the biggest question in the room, when can we go home? So I know there's a difference between contained and controlled. We understand that, but we would like to know, when can we go home? That's my first question.
Would you like to take that one?
Try that.
Okay, good.
Check, check. There we go. I will, so thank you for acknowledging, yes, we are 100% contained. And now the job ahead on that 26 kilometers is in control. The answer to your question is we're not sure just yet. That is the task at hand. We've got 26 kilometers to cover 100 meters in, which is about 4 lengths of this gym. And as we'll do, as long as it takes to do that, then we can get to a very comfortable spot to say that that southern edge is controlled. And then I think that would be a good indication on when we can decide to come home.
Okay, thank you. Another question, if I decide that I want to go home by boat and decide to go back to the community, what's kind of stopping me from doing that? So I'm tired of Fort McMurray. I want to go home. I have a boat. I'm going to go. Is that allowed? What's going to happen if I do that?
Thanks. No, another really good question. Obviously, there's still a serious concern in Fort Chipewyan, and the men and women up there that are keeping the community safe. It would be beneficial if there wasn't more, I guess, add to the complexity of the situation up there. So I would ask that folks that do want to go back up by boat, if they just be patient a little bit longer and let crews get to that 100% control and then a decision to go back. So my ask of everyone, and I know you want to get home, just be a little patient, a little bit longer. Today's message from Alberta Wildfire was a positive one. It shows progress, and we'll get there. We just need a few more days.
Okay, thank you. Last question is kind of a bundle one. So I quote you, we're the most prepared and protected community in Alberta. But all of that yellow, I feel like we need to clean those up, but I'm not sure why there's that hasn't been done. And then the sprinklers on the houses, that map was really small. I couldn't see whose houses had sprinklers. And how did you choose that? Because I know that not every house has a sprinkler. How did you choose which house got sprinklers, which house you've fire smarted in the community, and why are you only now doing behind the school? So I feel like we've been in a couple of weeks here. You've had lots of resources, lots of help. Why are we only now cleaning up those areas? I had a dream the other night that I learned how to operate a dozer and went did it on my own because I was not confident in your ability, Mr. Butts, to do that. So please explain all of that to us. Thank you.
There's a few questions there. Hopefully, you might have to remind me of a couple of them. Hopefully I can cover them off. I believe your first question was the yellow markings on the map. Those indicate the fire smart work that occurred starting in 2019. So that thinning, cleaning of that vegetation in all of those areas had occurred. So that's that fire smart program, or the practicing those fire smart principles, that the purpose of that is to reduce the impact of wildfire on a community in such an event. So those were, that's what the yellow markings there are. From I think your question about why are we doing behind the school now? The priorities of the fire, obviously to the north, there was a lot of effort around structural protection, setting up sprinklers. to Allison Bay because they were closest to the head of the fire, or that southern flank, and continue to be. As we covered off those areas, then the priorities continued on into the hamlet of Fort Chipewyan and into Doghead. And as resources became available, like I said, they were prioritizing. Then we continued to just go down that checklist and prioritize. So we are we're working on that fire break in behind the school and all the way up to the dog lot, and that small little break in there on Small Lake. I might have to get you to remind me on some of the other questions, sorry. Oh, I think, there we go. What the decision on where sprinklers were?
Yeah, where are the sprinklers? Because there's not real that, if I don't know if you can zoom in on that map just to show the community members where the sprinklers are, and then how did you choose to put sprinklers on those structures? Because you did say, some of the bigger infrastructure, but you also said some of the, homes. So I'm thinking residential homes, and how did you choose to do that?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I'm not in control of the map, but while I look at the map and there's lots of green, if you look really close, there's lighter green little spots around the community there. I think there's a map on your way in. You can have a closer look at it. We can share some of this information on social media too, but the idea or the methodology behind which houses get sprinklered and which doesn't is about distance. So distance to trees, which in fire terms is fuel for us. That would create a more intense fire. And so the potential of fire transferring from the trees to the structures or the homes, the closer they are, and the type of fuel around them would dictate those decisions. And that's why some are sprinklered and some are not. The ones that are not probably, or they do have considerable distance between them and the edge of the trees.
We have another question over here.
Yeah, my name's Ivy. I'm from MCFN. I've been working really closely with some of the elders, both MCFN, some ACFN, and their biggest question is, they're at the evacuation center, they want to get clothing, and how they understand that 50 pounds of it is what they're allowed on the plane, right? So the excess of 100 pounds that they are allowed, is that at their cost, or is that at that? I don't know if you know the answer to that question, but yeah, they don't want to take a whole bunch of stuff home if they have to pay for it themselves.
Okay.
Oh, test, there we go. Great question, thank you. And the reentry plan continues to be developed, but that part of the plan is understood. When we go back and re-enter, those that are wanting to go back by airplane, you're allowed your carry-on and a 50-pound bag that you would check like you normally would any airline. What your question there is the additional luggage, or we're going to call it cargo. So the things and stuff that you collect down here and want to take home that is extra above the 50 pounds, there will be boxes available for you at the hotel that you can box, and we'll put your name and label it. So, and it's going to go up on a separate plane, a cargo plane, and then you'll be able to pick that up at a single place in Fort Chipewyan. But to answer your question directly, no, there is no additional cost for that. So, however, if there are things that like we can't fit in the box, then that's going to be called, or we're considering that as freight. And that will be delivered to McMurray Aviation, and you will have to get that at a later date under normal, how you would normally anyway. So there's the luggage, the carry-on that you take with you on the plane. Then there's the extra 100 pounds that we'll be able to provide a box that will be considered cargo, will come at I say a later date. It might not follow you, but it'll come very quickly. and you can pick it up at a location in Fort Chipewyan. And then there's the thing, the bigger stuff, like say a bicycle that we can't fit in a box. That's going to be delivered to McMurray Aviation and considered freight, and you would have to get that there like you would any other way.
Okay, we have another question over here. Thank you for your question so far.
Just an easy one here. Has the electricity been on the full time, or has it been intermittent off?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Has the electricity been on the full time, or has it been intermittent, or has it been turned off?
Okay.
No, that is a really great question. No, it has not. We have never lost power.
Thank you.
Yeah, all the fridges and everything are still working, or should be.
Okay, is there anybody else that has any questions? Both microphones are just going to be over here now.
Hi, so I have a question. So I'm going to pretend that I live in Fort McMurray, but I'm going to pretend that I live in Fort Chip. So I'm here as an evacuee, and I don't have Facebook, and I also don't have my computer because I left it. So every time you mention that, go on Facebook to see information. So my question is about communication. Isn't there a way that evacuees can get notice via their phone? That's number one. And number two, I'm from the Caribbean, I'm from Jamaica, so we do this every year. Isn't there a number? Isn't there going to be a number like a 555 or 666? I've had this experience before in other places, so that evacuees can always call that number to get information that they need.
I'll try. Great question. And all I can say is go to rmwb.ca/Fort Chip. All of those questions and answers should be found there. I'll invite anyone else from the table to try to answer it.
I think her concern is that like she's given a hypothetical situation where she doesn't have access to like anything online.
I only have my phone. Hello?
Hello?
The other thing that you can do is the pulse line, 743-7000. And I understand that there's folks down in the lobbies of the hotels that can help with some of those questions too.
Okay, so I know you probably don't have the answer for this question, but I want to ask it. I haven't seen the Red Cross around, and I've been since the 30th. I don't know if they're around now. So do you know where they are?
The Red Cross.
I haven't seen them. Probably they are there, but I haven't seen them.
No, I do not know where Red Cross is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
I have a question from online. The first one was also about Red Cross. Why haven't they been assistance to evacuees? And the second is, it was mentioned at the time of reentry that it will be based on hotels and transportation. What about the people that are staying and evacuated to private homes?
Again, I can't answer the Red Cross one, but I can say that stay informed in the information, and to get on when the reentry plan kicks in, that they can go to one of the hotels, or the Quality Inn, I think is a central spot there, and they can get on a bus and onto a plane there. And so there will be a schedule coming out, and so just stay informed with that schedule.
Yep, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi there, my name is Catherine. Chief Butts, is it? Similar to what Lori alluded to in regards to your comment on, what was it? The most prepared and protected in Alberta, compared to what?
No, to be exact, I said the most it's been protected from a wildfire, that
Specific
community.
to the area?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
forgive me that. And then in your experience, how long does it take to control 2,700 meter of woodland, which is the next phase of fire guarding, as you put it?
Okay, you used, okay, you went meters to kilometers. Very good.
Okay. 27 kilometers times 100 meters.
Yeah, you bet. That's a difficult thing to answer. You're correct. 20. My number is 26 kilometers from
26.
Devil's Gate to Lake Athabasca. Either way, that's a long ways to walk. I think to say how long is that's going to take, it has taken probably a week to get to a containment piece, and that's hard work. But now we've got to cover a bigger area, the same distance, but 100 meters in. You also must appreciate the natural beauty of the boreal forest in the north. It's wet, it's hills, it's rock. It's a hard thing to get through. And so all those are considering factors. So the best answer I can give you is we've got 100% containment, or the Alberta wildfire has got 100% containment. I'm hopeful that with the weather conditions that we have some rain and higher humidities, that we'll be able to get under, I guess, that southern flank to a control space quicker than we're able to get from containment.
And then just in your professional opinion, knowing that 1 degree of global warming is equivalent to 7 degrees of global warming in the north, and hence the drier and drier environment we're facing, do you think it would be positive to have quick response crews for fire in these remote communities in Alberta?
I can say from experience that yes, wildfires are burning hotter and faster than what they have been in the past. And for the reasons, we can all make assumptions to that, but that's what we're observing. What was the second part of your question?
It was just wondering if that would now call for a change in strategy and having quick response fire crews in remote communities to help mitigate the spread of fire versus it turning into a greater response requirement.
Yeah, our Alberta wildfire partners, they do a tremendous job on managing wildfires in our region and across Alberta. There's probably some education work that we could, this fire was started by lightning, but there's probably some education work that could help us prevent some of these fires. This one, like other fires, if you look, there are human causes, not this one. But if we can stop or prevent them from starting, that would be helpful. That's a good first step.
So you do support quick response crews in remote communities? You do support the formation of quick response fire crews in remote communities?
Yeah, logic would say that when a wildfire starts, the quicker you can get on that, meaning you can contain it while it's small. It's when, and in this case, the conditions were extreme, very dry, and there was a strike, and the fire grew very quickly and got big. And we can appreciate the bigger the fire gets, the more perimeter, the longer and the bigger the perimeter of the fire gets, and it becomes difficult to contain.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Director Caroline Powder for the Métis Nation in Fort Chipewyan. I understand that we have 200 members or maybe even more providing back in Fort Chip fighting for our fire. My question is, why did they stop and cease forestry from bringing in their own crews? Initial attack sitting there when they should have been there right on hand before this even happened. They could have been there and put this fire out right away. Why? Why is that taken away from Fort Chip?
Yeah, unfortunately, this wildfire is Alberta Wildfires event, and they're responsible for that. They'd have to answer that question. I truly don't have that answer to where and the reason for those resources. Sorry.
And the resources for food being shipped down to Fort Chip for the members that are left behind with the families or fending for themselves over. I know they have the Catelli open to go and get their food and that. But what about us sending our family members food from this side? Why can't we put them on a planes?
Just to clarify, put on planes to go back to Fort McMurray?
No,
or
to Fort
Chipewyan?
Chip.
Well, right now, the community just isn't safe to do that yet. But we're working hard. to get that back, and then hopefully I answered your question. Yeah, it's just not quite safe just yet to send folks back to Fort Chip.
Is there anybody else that has any questions? Oh, we have one down here. Now is the time to ask any question that you may have.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, in terms of where the airport is and the fires to the west of us, is there like a fire line west of the airport so that, because that's our only means of transportation out, in and out of Fort Chip, is there a fire line that way?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So on the west side of the airstrip, it is fire smarted, and the trees have been pushed back, but that was years ago or a few years back. So that would be the line there. I think the concern, like airstrip, is more about the smoke. That would be what would cause the airstrip to be closed prior to a fire. So then the smoke can be it can be a kilometer away or 2 kilometers away. So there is a separation there, and it is fire smarted on the west side of the airstrip. But if your concern was about why the airstrip would be closed, it'd be probably for reasons of smoke.
No, I'm not asking whether it's going to be closed. I'm asking if there's a permanent, like I see all the red up there. How come there's no red on the west side of the airport when that's our only means of transportation in and out of Fort Chip is my question. Why isn't there one there that's wide enough so that nothing's going to happen to the airport?
Yeah, there is separation there, and so as you can see, there is trees pushed back quite a ways, and so I think I'm trying to answer your question correctly here. The concern wouldn't be actual flame and fire. The fire would come in to where there's no trees and it would die down. It would be the smoke that would close that airstrip first, I think is what your question is.
Okay, my next question is, if I don't want to put my stuff in a 50-pound box, can I just send a 50-pound luggage and then be included as an extra 100 pounds?
Yes.
Because I'm not.
Yes, most certainly.
Okay, thanks.
We still have lots of time for questions, so don't be afraid to ask anything that you guys might need answers to.
Thank you. More questions, not for me, just being the spokesperson. So just to be clear, can we go home if the fire is controlled, or does it have to be completely out?
Yeah, that's an important question, and let's really dig into that. So the focus here, this fire is big. This fire is the number is 60,000 hectares. It continues to burn and grow to the north, away from the community. The focus here is on the southern edge. So we need to get that southern edge, that 26 kilometers from Devil's Gate all the way to Lake Athabasca. We got to get that under control before that decision to re-enter.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be completely out is what I'm hearing. It just needs to be controlled from the south to the north by 27 kilometers.
That's exactly right. And
Perfect, thank you.
we would be looking to our partners in Alberta Wildfire to give us that, okay,
Thumbs up.
it's controlled. And then the community, I would hope that would make that decision when that re-entry would be.
Excellent, thank you. Another question is, I'm not sure if you can answer it, maybe this is a forestry question, but color of the maps. Maybe we see a map over there with various colors. Maybe that can be explained a little bit about intensity and what's going on within those regions. And can a fire return to the same place that it was already burned? So if there's still some fuel in that area, can it come back?
I'm not, I'm not familiar. I would have to look at the map, but I'm going to take a guess at this, or a stab at this. The different shades of the fire growth, that's the different days of growth. So if it's shaded a little bit, there's the growth for that day, and it's got a little different color the next, and a little bit different color. You can start to see the storyline of how that fire had grown. So that's what that there is. Your second question?
Oh, my last question for now. Can you help go through the process of re-entry for us? So we understand the luggage, we understand the planes and the pets, but what has to happen in the community once this fire is controlled and gone 27 kilometers in? What do you have to do within the community before we could even think about moving our people back in?
So I will say, and this is what's important to understand, is that the work that is going on in the community, the men and women, the leadership, the cooperation up there has prevented the power from going out. It has never turned off. So that helps on that decision. When you drive around the community, you see sprinkler setups. It looks a little different, but essentially it is as you left it. So critical infrastructure is still in place. Some of those essential services are still in place. And those are significant decisions when you decide when to re-enter, to make sure that they're there and ready and available for the folks that come back. I can tell you that is unchanged. So that decision is very quick. And really, when we get the thumbs up and the okay and from the Alberta wildfire, the decision to make that by community leadership will be quite quick.
Thank you. So you say that it's going to look the exact same as it was for us for the most part. Do you know that firsthand? Have you been to Fort Chip in the community? How long have you been there? Have you been boots on the ground for us? That's a question. I was under the understanding that maybe you haven't been to the community or have only been there for a short period of time, and we were hoping to know why.
Yeah, I was there a week ago for 2 days, and I wanted to just check things out and see it for my own eyes. I think it's important to understand that there's a huge support system occurring here. There's a regional emergency coordination center that has been activated since the evacuation was set into place. That is a room that's coordinated to help and assist all of those functions that someone had mentioned earlier that's in the background working. Those folks are still working in that room and supporting the operations and in the community of Fort Chipewyan, but also helping support the evacuee or your guys' evacuees experience here. So that continues to happen. So my responsibilities both lie up there and here, and we've got a lot of trust. We have community leadership up there watching. We have like I said, our men and women on the structural protection, our wildfire folks, they're looking after the fire. So to keep the big wheel turning here to support the whole event, that's what happened. I've been there last week for a couple days, but then I plan on going up. I think Mayor Bowman and I are headed up tomorrow to see everything again. So thanks for the question, though.
Off of Facebook, Fire Smart Homes. How was it only the homes closest to the fire line? If we learned from the Beast Fire, most of the homes along the tree line survived, and it was the homes further in that burnt.
Yeah, so I think to understand how the wildfire would react or impact the community, the fire breaks create a separation between the trees of what we call fuel and the houses. That allows for two things: to prevent the heat transfer from the trees to the houses, and that distance would obviously stand closer or further away from a fire, it won't be as hot. Second thing is it creates a defensible space for emergency crews to stand in between. But the impact there, and to answer your question, why houses inside the community were affected, and that's because of the ember transfer. And that's where the fire smarting work really comes in, really important on doing the fire smart principles in and around the homes in these events, pulling those combustible materials away from the houses. And if there was an ember transfer, it doesn't ignite, crawl into, and I guess extend into the house, and essentially and unfortunately would lose the house. But that hasn't happened. Those ember transfer that, we are ready if that was to happen. Don't forget that there is a lot of men and women on the ground up there that are up there to set up the sprinkler protection and to respond to such an event. So they're planned and they're ready for that.
Thank you for the explanation so far. Dr. Sam Inage, I'm a teacher in Fort Chipewyan. Actually, our academic year hasn't been completed, and as a teacher, we have a schedule of the curriculum we have to cover before the school close. Now, my question is, I understand that your team has been working tirelessly trying to contain the fire. Based on your experience, what is the projection, like estimated time, based on how much input they are making daily? When do you estimate like everything should be over so that everybody can go back? I can have a kind of a projection time frame you can project. You might not be exact, but like a time frame we can just like say, oh, by this time, plus or minus that, everything should be set up.
Can I just clarify the question? So how much time do you think that we could get back to re-entry? Was that the question?
Yes, you are not going to be exactly sure, but a kind of projection, an estimated time.
Yeah, that's a difficult question, and I know you want an answer to that, but the answer is the wildfire itself will tell us that and the amount of work that they put on getting that southern edge to a controlled. That's when that will be, however long that may take. But I will try to give you some insight, and it's not based on my experience. It's just based on what we're observing up there. We are now 100% in containment, and they have already started that control piece. That's 4 lengths of this gymnasium, 27 kilometers, and I'm hopeful that they can accomplish that quicker than they were able to accomplish the containment. And I hope I didn't overstep my bounds with Alberta Wildfire on that one, but I'm hopeful. There's a lot of factors. I'll say this: like if we get moisture, there's variables that come into that question. Moisture being Mother Nature, hot and dry, all those things play a part. Just keep standing.
More questions from the online realm. Question to the fire chief. Surprise, surprise. How well do you understand the fire within the community boundaries? How much time have you spent in Chip? Just thinking about the beast of 2016, the fire chief stated that the fire was under control, but then we all know what happened.
Like I said, there is an immense amount of people and attention being placed on this fire. The focus and suppression efforts of Alberta Wildfire are on that southern edge of that fire. And they're doing everything they can to get that piece to control. And as we've said a few times now, they're putting, they're walking through, they're at 100% containment. Now they're gonna get that southern edge to 100% control. And so I don't know how else to answer that. Everybody's watching it, and they watching it intently. There's a lot of resources on it. It's about all I can have for that answer.
Hi, my name is Nadine. I'm a fly-in and fly-out healthcare provider for Fort Chipewyan. I just have some questions about evacuation process and whether or not what happened when we were evacuated out is going to be looked at and maybe better planning in case this ever has to happen again, because I get that it was a huge task to undertake to get everybody out of the community. But I mean, like, some of us got out Tuesday night on the last flight, leaving 90 people behind in the community to wait for a plane the next day. And we were very lucky that the weather didn't completely change and pull a 2016 and take into the community. I mean, we were very lucky. So is this going to be reviewed and looked at, that if, God forbid, the community has to be mass evacuated again, that there's a better plan in place?
Hello. Yeah, so as I said before, thanks for the question. Great question. And as we look at the evacuation process, I know those 2 days I was on the phone with some of the people that are sitting at this table all night and some people in the audience. So we are looking at what transpired for the evacuation and what we can do better in the future. That's definitely something we're looking at. So you are right. What we've done and what we've learned, and every emergency we've had, there's been lessons learned, and this is one of them as well. Thank you.
Hi. Another question is, so though we all know that we've sadly lost some cabins from the fire, will there be any financial support available for those members to rebuild?
Does anybody from the leadership want to take that?
Yeah, they're just discussing here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sherry McKenzie, MCFN. So with that, it was our members, MCFN members, that did lose their cabins. I believe there was 5. We do have it at our table that we are going to be addressing that to recover it 100%. I cannot say yes today, but we are going to do something to try to help each member that did lose their cabins.
Perfect, thank you. Another question. So how do the members find out if their house has been fire smarted or if the work has been done around their particular house? Is there some kind of communication?
Well, I can say that Allison Bay is complete. So if you live in Allison Bay, there's that. I can say that with confidence. That's something we haven't tasked to take a picture of each one of the properties. If that is something that is required or desired by somebody, I guess we could try to communicate that.
Yeah, I think that would be good for people, just to give them a little easement. Even if it's not a full-on photo, if we just put the map of the community and each lot to say this lot has been fire smarted and fuel's been gone from this area. Lots of people have fuel sheds, lots of trees and stuff in the spot. I mean, pictures speak 1,000 words, but if we can't get there tomorrow, maybe just a note on a map would be helpful.
I'll take that back.
Thank you.
From Facebook. Hi, Elena. Can you ask about the fire guard not being done at the airport?
Yeah. I guess it comes from a priority perspective, everyone. There's the fire guards or the fire breaks that have been put in place are in and around the community. The work continues. I suppose if the event continues on, then that would be looked at next. But I guess the best answer I can say is it's from a priority perspective. The community, protecting the community would be the best, where our priorities were.
Hello. Yeah, you say you have a plan for putting on sprinklers in other people's houses that don't have the sprinkler system. Where's that plan? Can we see that in writing? So the other people can know exactly what your plan is. Also, my house is one of the houses that do have the sprinkler system on. My question is, if there's a fire that's closer to town, when do you plan on putting on the sprinkler system?
Okay, I hear that again. I hear that you want to see whose houses and whose are sprinklered. Is that was the question?
The question is, you said you have a plan. Where's your plan? Put it in paper.
No, I didn't say we had a plan. So those decisions are the men and women when they get up there, they come into the community and they make those decisions, and they do an assessment and they make those decisions. So the sprinkler plan is something that was created on the fly, and the structural protection, the sprinkler plan, is in place. So I guess what to answer your question, we could capture what has been put in place right now, put it on a piece of paper, and we can share that.
Also, if there is a fire that's close to town, when do you plan on putting on the sprinkler systems that are already on the houses?
Yes, that was raised, that we had to turn those, some of the residents had turned their sprinklers on when they left, but we had to turn those sprinklers off because it was draining the pressure system with the municipal water system. But yes, they were incorporated and were considered, and if the fire was to come through, they will be turned on.
So can you show me on the map, like how close is the fire going to get to town before you turn them on?
I can't show you that right there, but it would have to be the fire and embers coming into the community.
Okay, so maybe in your next meeting, I'd like to see that.
I've got a question. I know a few people have been asking it, but nobody's getting a straight answer regarding the fire guard around the airport. I know you say trees that are pushed back. I was there a few days ago, and I don't see anything. And I know you say to protect the community, but how could he protect the community if our only way is out by the airport? And I know you say smoke, but what if there's no smoke and we need to get out?
Yeah, the airport could be compromised or by smoke from a long ways away. I'm not sure how to answer that any other way than
It's either yes or no, a fire guard's going there or not. And if not, why not?
there's I guess an appropriate amount of space for a fire break that would protect that runway from any type of direct impingement of flame. But smoke can be generated quite some distance away. And to run in and out of the airport, obviously from a pilot's perspective, you need line of sight. And we know that smoke can really set in on these events, and that smoke can be generated from quite a ways away.
But you could also say that some planes could still land even if there's still some smoke that's visible, right?
I'm not a pilot. I just know that they got to have.
Well, I know that because we went. I was just in Fort Chip there, and it was smoky. Planes are still coming and going.
Yeah,
so I guess the answer is you can't give an answer then.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to the pilots.
And the other thing, I'm sitting here thinking, like I know the RMWB, they have their PR people, and I know Alberta Forestry, but a lot of the questions that people are asking, Forestry needs to answer them, but there's nobody sitting up there. I think in fairness to us, it's our hometown, our people, we're here. I'm sure it's not hard for them to relay the message to somebody here. Like I know everybody's busy, the province is on fire, but at the same time, be here to answer the questions, not leave us hanging.
Yeah, just before Mayor Bowman steps in there, I'll say that the Alberta Wildfire Partners, they're working hard on it. I've said I'm sure they wanted to be here, but they're focused on putting out that fire. But Mayor Bowman.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Paul. Yeah, if you have any questions for Alberta Forestry, but we'll be going up tomorrow, and we can bring the questions up tomorrow if you have questions for Alberta Forestry. I believe they were invited. We had a video with an update, but if you have any questions for them, just let me know there, Paul. Just send me the question.
Okay. Also, last question here. So with Alberta government, there's a 3-phase reentry program, right? There's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So right now, from what it looks like, so can you explain to us how does that work? Because the way there's no loss of structures, there's no loss of services and stuff like that. So is there a time frame, or do we just go to phase 3, which is reentry, if all the services are still there?
I can't I can't speak to the phases from Alberta, the province of Alberta, but you're exactly right. None of the essential services
So-
and the critical infrastructure has been compromised.
Okay, so you say you can't answer that, but we're in the RMWB, so who could give us that answer? So who makes that call at the end of the day? Who sits around the table and says, okay, you guys are okay to go home? I know stuff has to be in place, but who makes that call?
First call is going to have to be Alberta Wildfire to give us confidence that that southern edge is under control. The second then decision will come from the community leaders, hopefully as a whole, as a community.
Okay, sorry, take up some time here. So I just think better planning, because on May 28th, the fire was 16 hectares. But then the fire grew, but it took some time for anybody to action. And I know somebody mentioned it for firefighters. And I know, because I was in CHIP, and I know there's some as to jurisdiction. So do we sit around the table and say who has jurisdiction, or do we just say, you know what, let's just put the resources on the fire before to say who's going to go ahead first?
Yeah, no, in this case, it wasn't a conversation about jurisdiction at all. Alberta Wildfire have been very busy all summer or all spring around the province. And it was, I'd have to defer to Alberta Wildfire on that one.
Okay, I just want, at the same time, thank God for social media. Because I know a lot of people in CHIP wanted resources, and I know one topic was chainsaws. And I know they wanted to, I know they did get the chainsaws, but it took some time. And I know when forestry was asked, they said they don't let them out. So maybe more planning needs to go into say, not about who lends out or who doesn't. Just give the people the resources to fight the fire and not wait for somebody to say, oh, here's a paper, sign it out. Because what's more important than us in our home? Because that's, for some of us, that's all the home that we have. Thank you.
I have a question for the health director. From a psychological perspective, where are we on the spectrum of trauma, shock from evacuating, and what could we expect to experience in the near future, and how could we prepare and prevent measures from a mental health perspective from arising?
Hi there. So you might have to remind me if I don't get through the whole question. So I would have to say, in our experience, from what we're hearing at the office and from my staff, support staff and volunteers, we can definitely confirm we're probably experiencing throughout the spectrum from, the beginning of discomfort, mental health concerns and requests to crisis consultations, follow-up, reaching out to the mental health resources, and utilizing other supports in and around the community. Obviously, we are within the event right now, so every day we learn something new. Every day we add to the plan. Every day we sit down with the health supports, discussions with community members who are living it, discussions with people who have gone through it, and we continue to build a plan that is, what we hope addresses each and every concern that comes in to the best of our ability. So definitely evolving daily, and our team is working really hard at capturing as much as we can. So we do encourage all those to reach out, call our office, call ACFN, Métis office, so that we can get a full and better comprehensive understanding of what exactly is going on throughout their time as evacuees. And then, of course, yes, planning and implementing, and then, of course, prevention for future programs and such. So lots of work every day.
Is there anybody else that has a question they'd like to ask?
Hi, good afternoon. I've just been hearing all of the questions, and one thing I've been thinking about is in the 2016 wildfire, the Red Cross was here and they helped a lot. They helped in terms of people who don't have insurance, which I'm hoping everybody at this point has contacted their insurance provider for their houses and boats and whatnot to let them know that they've been evacuated. But there are many people who may not have insurance. And I know Red Cross stepped in a lot of these occasions. So I'm wondering if there's been any thought as to that, what may happen next there.
I can try to take that. I'm not sure where Red Cross is right on this incident right here, but and at this time there's nothing in Fort Chipewyan. No structures have been lost, so it's important to remember as we talk about what's being done and what's been done. No structure lost, and all decisions that have been made to this point have kept the community safe. And as we're at 100% containment, that's gone a long way. And there's been numerous fire breaks made and continues to be made, and fire smarting as well. So, but as far as insurance and that sort of thing goes, it depends on your insurance company and what you're covered for loss or displacement. And in 2016, I know there was displacement insurance on some people's insurance. We did have that. I can't speak to what anybody's personal insurance would have, but it's just important to remember with all the questions and all the decisions that were made, and there's some things we could do better probably in the future, but we did get everyone evacuated with those decisions were made. No structures in the community have been damaged. And there's a lot of people up there working a lot of long hours to make sure the community of Fort Chipewyan is protected.
I got one question for Jody. Air quality, people with respiratory problems, what air quality is recommended for re-entry if they do come back?
Yeah, thanks, Chief Adam. That is part of the consideration on the re-entry. I don't know if somebody else with a more of a health background can help with that, but certainly if you have health problems of a respiratory nature, the smoke in the air is going to create some more issues than not. Hey, listen, you all live in the community. You have smoke in the community like we do in Fort McMurray and the rest of the region. It comes and goes. I would say that contact Alberta Health Services or somebody within the medical field and help you with that answer.
Just to follow up to the Red Cross, and I know that we don't really know, and I'm messing up this mic, but I know industry, I've heard that industry has provided a lot of money to the Red Cross for the Fort Chip evacuation. What happens to that money? I don't know if this is the table, but maybe when you're talking to your folks that you would know. So all of this money's been donated on our behalf, but if they're not coming to the table, where does that money end up going?
I can try to answer that. I haven't heard anything from Red Cross through us yet, but I hear a lot of people asking about Red Cross today, so we'll definitely bring that back and get answers for everyone.
Is there anybody else that has any questions or?
Yes, from an elder. The question is whether or not Noonie Health will be at full capacity upon reentry. There is a number of elders and individuals who live in Fort Chipewyan who have respiratory issues. Chief Adam.
Noonie will be fully staffed when they come back to the community. Re-entry means that every essential worker will be fully staffed.
Is there any more before we end it?
Hi, Cindy, I'm from Fort Chip. I'm just wondering what, are you guys aware Edson was evacuated for a second time? And in comparison, are we prepared to go back without having to evacuate a second time?
Really good question. I can't speak to the situation in Edson. I don't have a good awareness on that. But no, we're part of that decision to re-enter by Alberta or the Alberta Wildfire Forestry and the community leadership. That will be front and center. How confident are we that this is the decision to re-enter? We won't have to do this again. So that will come about. But like I said, there's some work ahead. We just asked everyone to be patient and we'll get there.
Hi. Ooh, that's loud. So there's been a handful or several questions that leadership has responded to with saying that you'll get back to the community with, and I just want to understand what your communication plan is like and how you're working to ensure that there's kind of like communication improvements across the board with each nation and the RM and the fire people.
Yeah, thanks for that question. And if you go onto the RMW website, rmwb.ca/Fort Chip, all the up-to-date information is always on that website.
So the questions that were asked here will be detailed and then have those responses on the website, or how will that be shared with the community
Yes, we'll have
members?
some of these questions on the website pertaining to stuff that was asked today, yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
I just wanted to add a little to that communication question. So we are also working with our leadership, community members, elders, to really get a good and thorough idea of what they need from us for that communication piece, to ensure that those who maybe don't have access to the websites, Facebook, etc., that we're doing our part and putting that in the plan and planning for that so that they are informed. We have an amazing group of volunteers that are quick to work with the elders and those that may not be out on social media. So there's definitely plans and discussions regarding that communication piece. So we'll continue to do work there.
Is there anybody else before we wrap it up? I have one question. It might not be the right one, but I just wanted to know, for those who do practice the way of life of, like, hunting and going out on the land and living that kind of way, what is set in place for them to say if their trap lines are no longer there? Those things that have been there for numerous years to help and provide for their family in that way. Like, what is going to be done for those people who live that way off of the land?
Well, specifically for, those who are on the land users, I know on behalf of MCFN, leadership is tabling all of, options, ideas, and really anything that comes forward that we learn either from our representatives. We have Jocelyn Martin on the community working quite closely, Curtis Gerard, and I think there's a few others that work with all the nations to get an understanding of those needs and of those concerns. So when they're brought back, and for us it's almost daily, we continue to make plans and talk about that, and it's tabled at the leadership. So for sure, it is definitely a topic of discussion.
Awesome. I didn't know if I was allowed to ask questions or not, but that was just something that I wanted to know for the community's sake, I think. I'm MC, I'm not allowed to ask questions. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that took the time to come out today and to be a part of this event, to receive as much information as you can and ask as many questions as you did. The board of directors, everybody that's up here at the table today, I'm very grateful for them taking time out of their schedules to be here. For all of you guys that came here today to ask all your questions, can we give them and all of the firefighters, everybody that's doing their part to make this, successful for the community to return home, can we give them a big round of applause for all of their hard work that they have put in? The buses will be arriving at 5. If anybody has taken a bus to come here today, the Children's Center is still open until 5. So you have that time. If there's any snacks that are left outside here on the side over there, feel free to take those back to your hotel or wherever you're staying. The shuttle schedule to the SNI for dinner of roast chicken, potatoes, and beets is tonight. And tomorrow morning, I will also be at the SNI. I'll be there till further notice. They're going to announce on the ATC on Facebook about what time I will be doing a small, short workshop for the community. And it's going to be based around health and wellness, setting goals, inspirational stuff like that. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow at the SNI. Yes, thanks again for coming to everybody that came out. All right, thank you guys.